Hey, welcome to This Week in Pharmacy. I am your host and founder of the Pharmacy Podcast Network, Todd Urey, and it is supposed to be a scary, spooky holiday special. I'm dressed up like a trucker. If you aren't looking at the video and you're just hearing what's happening here in the studio, I am dressed up like a Pennsylvania trucker. I got my Pennsylvania patch on, official state patch, and I got my trucker hat. A shout out to High Rise. They're a CBD drink organization founded by an amazing guy named Chris that we're going to actually have on the show. But that's what's kind of kicking us off right now, is preparing us for some stress. It's a little bit of a stressful show today, and that is our content of what is happening this week in pharmacy. And if you go to the interwebs and you go to Google and put in the word pharmacy and go to the news section, one of the first stories that you'll see is the title from USA Today: Prescription for Disaster and America's Broken Pharmacy System in Revolt Over Burnout and Errors. And there's about 6 other stories that stem off of this, which has really come to a boiling point with the walkouts of some of our chain pharmacists and technicians. It's really time to help. It's almost like an all hands on deck. All of the state associations and the NABP and Walgreens, CVS Health, everybody has to come together, and we don't have to point fingers and throw people under the bus. I think it's more important for public health that we fix it, because it's creating some major issues for America's health system, and the need for our pharmacists, and how much of the role of pharmacists that is expanding. And I know that a lot of our chain pharmacists out there who are stressed out, we think about you. We pray for you. We support you. We have organizations that are trying to raise money to assist on a multitude of ways, including lost wages of technicians through Shane Jerominski and his team, through the original findings of pizza is not working and the initiatives of Dr. Bled Tanoe. But the reason why I'm talking about this is our profession. This is your profession. And whatever you can do to help, whether it be sending letters of support, sending ideas into your state pharmacy associations. Like I said, it's an all hands on deck. And I'm excited to be in the middle of it all from a communications and public relations perspective, because we get some amazing pharmacists coming through the network, telling each other and sharing with each other and building stories, meaningful stories through podcasting. And very proud of the network, proud of pharmacists leading healthcare. I'm not sure if you saw this, but the medical cannabis pioneers of Georgia, first pharmacy sales in U.S. start in Deep South. This is brand new to the news today. This was through CNN, and they feature Robbins Pharmacy, who's now going to become a dispenser for people that are going to be using cannabis for medicine, through the advisement of their physicians and then the oversight of a pharmacist. And what better way to roll out the leverage of cannabis and CBD and topicals and pain relief and anxiety medications and something. And we are extremely curious about the innovation of all forms of cannabis and CBD and usage, and pharmacists leading that. That's why we have a special partnership with Cannabis Pharmacy. And if you've not heard of Cannabis Pharmacy, they are an organization out of South Carolina that we've partnered with. And they're going to bring us a lot of resources, as well as a lot of product support and education through the Cannabis Pharmacy University that is being built through this organization, as well as the Pharmacy Podcast Network as a partner, and really drill down into the true usages and research and everything that's coming out of cannabis. And I'm thinking of senior care. I'm thinking of people think something's over the counter and it doesn't have any side effects, which isn't true. I'm thinking of CBD and even children's medicine, which is kind of a lead in to today's guests, and the importance of pharmacists not only leading, as I was saying, cannabis medicine, but leading pediatrics and leading advisement for pediatricians who need somebody that understands a child's body versus an adult and medications. And there was a article in Pharmacy Today from earlier this year about melatonin. And my wife and I have talked about melatonin, and I've talked with pharmacist after pharmacist about different melatonin kind of opinions and research that they've shared with me. And I immediately thought of our pharmacist on the network, on the Pharmacy Podcast Network. And I want to welcome them both. I want to welcome Dr. Jena and Dr. Justin to the show, and welcome to this Week in Pharmacy.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, Todd. Thanks for having us.
All right. Hey, Jan, we have you early, which I apologize, but we'll actually come back to you. So I'm going to get Jenna. So sorry about that. Hey, Jenna.
Well, our names are too similar.
Yes, Jenna, exactly. It's it was a test for the crew.
Got it.
Like, it was a Halloween prank. I'm glad you dressed up. What did you dress up? You both dressed up. A hockey fan, a raging hockey fan, and a witch.
a witch, but I was sad I didn't have enough time to completely, dress in character. So next time, I just have my hat.
Yeah, one of the things to know about Jenna and I is we're parents ourselves, so life is a little bit crazy at times.
Absolutely. Tell me about it. I have 4 daughters, so I'm on the going out side of it though, because my youngest is 11, so I don't have to put up with the little ones like I know Dr. Jenna does every day right now.
Yeah.
Little ones. Well, that's what we were talking about. We're talking about little ones. We're talking about the importance of pediatric support and pediatric pharmacists who really know very specific things that are happening in those little ones that experience things in the hospital, in the community pharmacy, maybe a rare disease state treatment, and how medications are affecting and titrating and impacting our little ones. So I want Jenna, you to start out and talk about perfecting PEDS as well as your background. And then I'm going to shift over to Justin and open up a can of worms with Justin on pediatric pharmacy. And he is a fellow podcaster at his Cedarville School of Pharmacy. So we have to talk about that. But Jenna, you are up first.
Okay. Sounds good. There's a little bit of an echo. Okay, are you guys getting that? Or are you fine?
I don't hear it.
Okay.
We have
Actually,
headphones.
It just went away. So we're good. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this with an echo. I'm not that good. So thank you so much, Todd. It's always a pleasure. We love being a part of the Pharmacy Podcast Network. Our Pediatrics in Review is where Justin and I am so excited. We already recorded 2 episodes with Justin on. And so the purpose of that is really just to take a deep dive into newer literature. And interestingly enough, we have coming up for January, the melatonin podcast, where we're going to be going into, again, it's such a hot topic, but
Yes.
Using melatonin safely. And then obviously you always come back to, are these drugs being, having good manufacturing practices? So we're going to do a deep dive into all of that with our special guest. But as Todd alluded to, I own my own company called Perfecting Peds. So being a pediatric pharmacist and practicing in hospitals, whether that's the neonatal ICU, pediatric ICU, ER, Gen Peds, I always noticed that there was a trend of when pediatric patients, specifically medically complex pediatric patients, were admitted, there was always room for med optimization of their outpatient regimen. So I would be identifying all these different ways, whether it was, I hate to say like a blanket med error, or if it was, just some way that we could tweak it, maybe even to make the caregiver's life easier. Like this is 3 times a day. It could be twice a day. Yeah. And doing some regional and actually national digging, it became obvious that pediatric trained pharmacists are really not in the outpatient setting. If they are, maybe it's like one random hospital has it in their clinic over here, one over there, but it is by no means the standard of care. So since we're talking about it, pediatric pharmacists have a little bit of a unique training. We do 1 to 2 years of residency usually, and then we follow that by a board certification. And then we really, to date, practice largely in the hospital setting, and as Justin is, in the academia setting. And because of this, that's why I started my own company, which is called Perfecting Peds. Really exciting. We were able to take our first couple hundreds of patients, specifically the first 100, and do more. It not only resulted in decreased medications, decreased hospital admissions, but also resulted in a huge cost savings and cost avoidance. So what our mission is in Perfecting Peds is we're providing telehealth or virtual comprehensive medication management for medically complex children, specifically by partnering with MCOs or insurance companies who basically provide us, and through our algorithm, the sickest children who really need that pediatric trained pharmacist on their team.
That's excellent. Excellent. Justin, give us some background on yourself and your role with the school as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was one of the rare breeds of people that knew what I wanted my career path to be from the age of like 7 years of age. So I had 2 aunts and 2 uncles who were pharmacists when I was growing up, and they convinced me and honestly one of my younger brothers as well to pursue a career in pharmacy. So I had some stories early on in life that made me interested in this idea of pediatric pharmacy. My mom was a pediatric nurse and was exposed to the fact that there actually were pediatric pharmacists pretty early on. And so I had the privilege of serving at Nationwide Children's Hospital in Columbus, Ohio for quite a number of years as a pediatric pharmacist there. I got to cover a lot of different services while I was there and had a number of very unique roles that were a blast. But in all that time, I really had a passion for teaching. And it took some time precepting students, getting to lecture for schools of medicine, schools of pharmacy on the topic of pediatrics before I realized, you know what? That's probably where I need to be. So I want to invest in the next generation of pharmacists and help them to be great caregivers for the youngest people among us, our kids. And so I made the jump to academia here at Cedarville University. It's a school here in Ohio, and I get to teach pediatric pharmacy to all of our students here. And a few other things I get to do. I lead our Center for Pharmacy Innovation here at Cedarville, which is actually how Jena and I got connected. I've got my own podcast that we run through the center. We're always looking for innovators and entrepreneurs in pharmacy to tell their story and to get people excited about making meaningful change through the profession of pharmacy. And so when I heard about Jena's company, Perfecting Peds, through some mutual connections on LinkedIn, it was not more than 5 seconds before I figured out how to contact her and find out what she was doing with her company. And so we've had her on our podcast called Disrupt. It's spelled DISRX UPT. You can look for us anywhere you listen to your podcasts. And we just had a blast talking about pediatrics and our shared interest in that. And so from there, we've been looking for ways to collaborate. And one of them was joining on the Pediatric Pharmacist Review here on the Pharmacy Podcast Network.
Yeah, that's so exciting. I'm so proud to have both of you on, and the topics that Jena has developed and pulled guests like Dr. Hannah on very specific based subjects and themes. This will continue to expand, but I've been very, very proud and very impressed with the listener growth of the Pediatric Pharmacist Review. And I think we can start reaching out to, and we will in 2024, start reaching out to some health systems to not only participate in some of this programming, but use these podcasts as quick hits on a multitude of subjects that you both are developing. And I like the timeliness of them. And I like the fact that Jena, you are experiencing things firsthand the morning sometimes that you're talking about it based on your crew. So share that you do actually have an advantage. You're kind of like there's always a laboratory following you around that are filled with children.
And I think that like is also a key point of why I started Perfecting Peds too, because my children would not be deemed medically complex, and just with their medication management, every time we went to the pediatrician, there's a way that the medication management could have been improved in one way, shape, or form. And knowing that, that I'm one mom taking care of 3 children and I'm seeing these med errors, like I just think of all the hundreds, thousands, millions of kids that could use a pediatric trained pharmacist. Through this, I've noticed that there's not a ton of us. I think we have like 1,700 or 2,000 in the country. And so my mission is to disseminate us, and just like Justin's mission to make more of us, because, there's just such a need, and where there's all these standardized practices in the geriatric and adult population, like medication therapy management being one, but all these Medicare stop gates that basically ensure geriatric and adults are being looked after and taken care of. There's nothing in pediatrics. And so, as you can tell how passionate I am about it and how fired up it gets me, I mean, we just need to do more. we need to do more as pediatric pharmacists, and we need to get ourselves to a place where we're indispensable, just like that RN or the pediatrician that you're saying. I mean, we know we are. So, you know, slowly but surely, we're going to make that the standard of care.
Exactly. Justin, so talk to me about representation. That is, your students get to be around you and get to experience pharmacists from your views, and you're a half glass half full kind of guy. You're very positive like me, even though we all know there's things happening in our profession right now. The profession has, you know, maybe like a bruise or a reputation issues and PR issue, and that's fine. But there's so much good happening in pharmacy right now, and one of those things is the expansion of pediatrics and pharmacists, concentrating on taking care of kids. So, talk to me about your impact on getting your P3s, your P4s thinking, maybe I want to go into pediatric pharmacy.
Yeah, well, Todd, first, just philosophically, 100% agree that when we face any crisis, there's a whole bunch of opportunity behind it, right? And I think, as you already highlighted earlier on in the show, right now within community pharmacy, it's reached kind of a fever pitch, but that means we are at the perfect place to be innovative, find new solutions, and make this what it needs to be. And that's one of the things that I want our students to walk away with. I don't want them to just leave the doors of Cedarville and think, oh, wow, I can just go get a really nice job as a pharmacist. I want them to be purpose-filled and to be driven to do something meaningful. I want them to not see problems, but possibilities. And so one of the ways that I do that is just simply through the center. We hire a lot of students that partner on innovative projects within the classroom. How do I help them to see that pediatrics needs the same type of innovation? Well, one of the ways is we make sure pediatrics is really well covered in our curriculum. We have some benchmarks to know how much exposure most students get in pharmacy school. And I'm proud to say that our students get a lot of pediatrics exposure, which is awesome, in the required curriculum. I also have an electives course that they can take if they really want to do a deeper dive into pediatrics. Now, I'm not going to make them a pediatric specialist in a 2-credit-hour elective, right? But if nothing else, I can spur their curiosity and show them the amazing ways that pharmacists can be involved in caring for kids. I also work at a federally qualified health center for one morning a week as well, seeing patients with behavioral health conditions, doing pharmacogenomic testing. And I love just telling students, even high school students, you want to see what a pharmacist can do? Just come and spend some time with me, right? So I love helping people get jazzed about not only pediatric pharmacy, but secondly, how can you, even as a single person, find a problem, come up with a creative solution, and make it happen so that health is better for everybody?
Yeah. And what you're doing is you're truly disrupting the status quo. And I just love the marketing of Cedarville University, and that it's very innovative in and of itself to give away credibility to thinking differently and thinking, what's the next pharmacist going to build? What's the next AI driven pharmacist or digital therapeutic pharmacist or pediatric pharmacist? Like, what are we building next? So it's exciting to have both of you. It's so charged up for 2024. We're going to do a lot of fun things, try to get you at some conferences too. We'll have to align and find out which conference we can bring the Pediatric Pharmacist Review live at a conference. So we'll have to think through that and try to pick one out that will align for everybody.
Sounds great. We're excited. We love working with you.
Thank you. All right. Well, we thank you both for joining us on This Week in Pharmacy. We will stay in touch. Please look at their landing pages. If you go and Google their names, if you can't find them, you can find them at Pharmacy Podcast website under hosts. However, their LinkedIn's there. Link up with Jena and Justin. Connect with them, learn from them, network with them. That's how I think we all become stronger. But thank you both. Hey, happy Halloween to both of you. And I hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you. Have a great one.
All right. All right. When we come back, take a short break. I want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors today. That is NasoCleanse. And how proud I am to have Gail and Joy and the team sponsoring this week in pharmacy, but also bringing us a lot more content on nasal health and how it impacts other things. So NasoCleanse, a shout out to you for being a great partner of the Pharmacy Podcast Network. And I want the network to pay attention of what's coming. And if you are in respiratory health and you want to participate in some discussions with Gail and her team, they are amazing. And what a resource opportunity. So thank you, NasoCleanse. All right. You know, one of the things that I pride myself is networking with the most innovative pharmacists out there. And one of the organizations that helped to bring those pharmacists to light is the organization called SingleCare. And they have an annual award, which is called Best of the Best Pharmacy Awards. This is a wonderful award program that really raises up pharmacists that are out there that are truly going above and beyond for their patients and their communities. And having the pharmacist and having an award winner on our show today is so exciting. And that's just affirmation to how pharmacists are truly impacting other people's lives. But we always have to come back to each other and support each other, support our own organizations, and continue to come up with ideas to how to improve things. But without further ado, I want to welcome Best of the Best award winner to the show. And I have so many questions for you.
Hello.
Hey, hey, Dr. Jen, welcome to the show. It's what's special is it's almost like it's this year and then the previous year, and it's a mashup of the both of you because you've both won awards through Best of the Best. And Dr. Jen, you became actually a team member on the RX Sense and SingleCare teams. So I'm going to start out with Jen just to give a little backstory on you being given the Best of the Best award and then how you became involved on the team.
Thanks, Todd. I'm sorry I have a frog in my throat today. I guess I'll chalk it up to our Halloween special here. So thanks for having me. I was awarded the same award that Jean Marie has the honor of claiming in 2021. So I can't believe it. Wow, 2 years. Pinnacle of my career, I say. I've been in community pharmacy almost 15 years. And at that point, just felt like my heart and my goal for being here was impacting the lives of patients through healthcare. And to be recognized by those people, to just really be seen and appreciated felt so great. And reiterated to me and just reaffirmed that what I was doing mattered, that me showing up every day when it was difficult really mattered to those people that I was showing up for. So I worked with SingleCare RX Sense for that year and just built a great relationship, got to know the company, really understood their mission and values and how they wanted to support the profession of pharmacy, but also how they wanted to show up for consumers. And just the alignment was there. I just couldn't be more excited that they invited me on as their pharmacy and health expert. And I've been in this role for a year. It has been just the most exciting thing I think I've done in my professional career to date. I never thought I would be in front of media. I actually just did my very first live interview live on Fox News in Texas this morning, thanks to this opportunity with SingleCare. And so just amazing to see the opportunities that are here for pharmacists, just like you highlighted with Jena and Justin and all the different things that we are equipped to do as pharmacists, our knowledge base, our hearts for service. We really can, we can do so many things. And so just really excited to be here again. And congratulations, Jan Marie, on a job well done. Very, very much deserved.
Congratulations, Jan. Welcome to This Week in Pharmacy. I'm so excited and proud to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
All right. So, Jan, give us a little background on yourself, and how is it that there's a little story that you have to share with the listeners that we almost lost you to bioscience and biotech?
Very true. So background on myself, I grew up in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley. I almost went into computer engineering, as everybody does. I've always been drawn to math and science. That's been my thing. But then I did my undergrad at San Diego State. There's so many pharmaceutical companies, huge biotech, industry. Completed my degree in chemistry, and I went into being a research associate with 2 different pharmaceutical companies for about 4 years. I really enjoyed the work with drug formulation, all of that. But kind of felt like I'm at the point where I need more education, and I wasn't sure that I was ready to go into a master's or a PhD in chemistry. That sounded very intense and a little bit isolating as well. So my then boyfriend, now husband, literally just read an article on the internet. I'm not even sure what resource posted it, about the best careers for women, and Pharmacist was there at the top. And he said to me, maybe you should be a pharmacist. And I thought, well, I don't really know what they do. I know they're at the drugstores, et cetera. And I looked more into it and realized the scope of the practice and all the things that you can accomplish, and, applied at USC, luckily got in and became a pharmacist.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So shout out to Dr. Stephen Cutler. You probably know him from South Carolina School of Pharmacy, and his work in cannabis medicine. As I was saying at the very beginning of the show, like everything comes full circle and some of the research that's happening in that. But it's great to have you here. It's great to see the role of the pharmacist expanding. I kind of want to shift. So you and your role is with Ralph's Pharmacy. So that's our chain kind of environments, our community pharmacy environments. How are you balancing the world of the necessary volume and how we're shifting from dispensing is going to become less and less and less of a part as technology continues to evolve of a pharmacist's need, and you're going to be doing other things that are going to be digging more into the clinical and into more of the follow-up. So talk to us about your passion in pharmacy and the balance of the world of retail and in commerce, and of course dig down into the pharmacy, the clinical pharmacy.
Yeah, of course. Right now, the pharmacy that I'm at, our volume is at a level that my staff and myself can maintain it. And I get to do a lot of clinical roles now. We have a lot of prescribing protocols set up. The big one that we do a lot is hormonal contraceptives. Okay. We're helping a lot of patients with that. We're able to, have them do some screenings, a quick blood pressure check, background history. The whole process is maybe 30 minutes involved, and then we're able to prescribe them a hormonal contraceptive. That's been wonderful. Right now, immunizations. We're in the fall. So many vaccines available. We're doing a lot of triples, RSV, COVID, flu. That's kind of nice, using clinical skills and knowledge with that. And it's always exciting when there's a new vaccine available to help keep everyone safe. And you're right. I mean, I think that there's talk of central fill among Ralphs. I don't know how soon that is in the pipeline, but that probably will be something in the future. Automation's increasing. It's really going to get us away from being, behind the counter, stuck there. And we really just need to be more involved in direct patient care. We have so much education, so much knowledge, that we can use to really help other healthcare providers, keep everyone safe and healthy.
Yep. Jen, I have seen little videos that give the futuristic setting of a community pharmacy. And when you walk into the pharmacy, there's very few rows. It's kind of very open, very glass and metal looking. And sure enough, this pharmacist comes walking up with an iPad to the person that just walked in the pharmacy, and they say, what can we, how can I help you today? Well, they start going to this, like, as soon as they start talking, the pharmacist starts typing on the iPad, and they're able to walk over to a case, and then all of a sudden out of the case pops, this medication or something, and they grab it and they give it. And I'm thinking, that iPad in the hand, in front and engaging and talking and counseling and talking and, asking questions and blah, blah, that could be an 8-hour a day job in and of itself. And that pharmacist that was standing with that iPad never went behind a counter or never went to do even first review or final review checks, because once again, the acceleration of technology is gonna soak up a lot of that to really put that pharmacist out into the aisles and engaging the patients at all times.
Yeah. So the current model, the pharmacist is not that first touch point. We really aren't at the counter often. We are kind of behind the counter, like Jane and Marie said. We're back towards the back, and so I think it's very exciting that pharmacists could have the ability to be more available, to spend more time at the counter with the patients, understanding their concerns, their disease states, able to counsel, because that is what sets us apart from AI, is that we have so much wisdom and knowledge. We're able to really understand the patient and provide that guidance that's necessary. We're able to provide the immunizations. And so it's exciting for me. It's my favorite part about pharmacy, is the patient interaction, being able to take care of them, listening. And so Todd, am really excited about what the future of pharmacy holds.
All right. I want to turn back to some of the subjects that we prefaced in the opening of today's episode, and really kind of talking with the two of you about your interest in these topics. And one of the first ones is the element of pharmacogenomics, which is one of the most fascinating tools that pharmacists are centered in and should really be the leaders in. If I could be the ruler of the world, I would make pharmacogenomics a lever that pharmacists pull, not the physician waiting for the physician to issue a test where they have no time to do so. But if a pharmacist saw that someone was on a specific medication, and this medication is known in 50% of the people that receive it to not metabolize correctly, you could run a test and see the results and then run with the consultancy. But both of you, in your background, what have you heard of this science, and have you had any experience in actually, looking into any of the data results or anything like that for any of your own patients? But what's on the horizon from your perspectives in pharmacogenomics?
Yeah, well, I haven't had a chance to utilize that yet. We're just not quite equipped there. But, right now we spend so much focus in optimizing medication. It's just exciting to know that we can have direct answers, from laboratory tests to know what will work and what won't. I believe it is the future. Again, we're not quite integrated, in that yet. But more to come. In a few years, hopefully I'd have a different response for you.
Yeah. What about you, Jen? How's it touched you or impacted you?
Yeah, so with my new role, my virtual practice that I have connected with numerous pharmacists that have their own virtual practices in pharmacogenomic consulting, and multiple conversations. It is absolutely just intriguing to me that I agree with you. We are the expert in this area, and this is an incredible opportunity for pharmacists to take advantage of for a specialized consultant business. It really aligns with our background, our education, our experiences, and we're really, to Jan-Marie's point, it's going to help us better optimize that med therapy. So it's exciting.
Yep. And remember, let's go back to that future setting of that pharmacist with the iPad in the aisle talking to the lady in an aisle, for example, and she has her child there with her. and they're talking, and the medicine is for the adult. And within that iPad, she pulls up that patient's profile and she presses a button, and now every single product that has been listed after the run of the PGX test will know which of those products are going to work best for that individual patient based on their DNA. And that's the future of what the pharmacist is going to be able to do. And you're right. We can use AI in an accelerated fashion for lots of data analytics and coming out with even predictive modeling pathways. But boy, the human to the human interaction, standing in the place of being able to pull the trigger on the right supplement or the right medicine or the medicine review or so on, is all at all out the fingers of our pharmacists. So those days are going to be increasing and coming, and I'm excited that we get teachers teaching our P1 through 4s of the possibilities of what's coming, and getting their gears turning and their imaginations turning, and thinking, what could I do in PGX, for example? And I'm proud of the network of how many of our network leaders, Dr. Becky Winslow, Dr. Banaz Sarami, who lead PGX for Pharmacists, how they dig into guests that really bring value to understanding where the science is going, where are the tools going, how are they being reimbursed, because reimbursement, of course, is a big thing. And then where does the data go? Does the data go to the pharmacist, the physician, the pharmacist, the specialist? And then do they have time to review it? Or is it the pharmacist that should be leading in that case? So, all right, so let's shift gears. I'm going to go back to Jan. What are you excited about from an innovation perspective in the profession of pharmacy?
Yeah, so just freeing up more pharmacist time to really connect with our patients. Many physician visits are very rushed and brief. They probably don't get all of their questions answered. Especially community pharmacists, we're right there. We're available. We answer our phones. They can come in and find us. All of the innovation and advancements, in regards to filling, et cetera, that really will just free up our time, and everyone will be able to build, better relationships with their patients. Like, that's what it's all about. If your patient knows you, you know them by name, they trust you, they open up to you, they admit when they're not compliant, they tell you when they're weary of a medication, they tell you when they don't understand what their doctors said to them, at the visit. It really just gives us more time to connect and really help them become their own advocates.
Yeah, and how much interaction with students have you had to be able to tell stories about yourself and being able to kind of give guidance through, sharing what you went through?
Yeah, so we constantly do have a 4th-year student at my site with us. Every now and then we have an empty block, and we're always just awaiting the next arrival. I give my students a lot of independence. I'm also there as their support system. A lot of them tend to come from hospital backgrounds. Some are kind of a few in community, a lot of it's AmCare hospital, more specialty roles is what they're pursuing. So I love them coming to our community pharmacy and learning that, you can be a very strong healthcare provider just at this level. In the grocery store, where the energy is often outside of the pharmacy, we can have fun too, and pretty much all of my students, after the 6 weeks we spend together, they always say, if we could work with this team, this would be ideal, and of course I'm, going to encourage, residency and further education, all of that. But it's just very rewarding hearing that. A lot of them just had no idea how accessible community pharmacists are and really what we get to do in our day. Like, obviously we blend our educational background, all of our drug knowledge, disease state knowledge, but we kind of blend it with just greeting people. It's just such a powerful position, to be here, in this role. Like, I think a lot of people don't realize that, until they spend time with us.
Yeah. All right. So I have a curveball to throw at both of you, and neither of you knew I was going to talk about this, but I can't help it. So I always throw interesting stuff at our guests for our listeners' amusement. All right. So let's talk about these rewards programs. So Ralph's reminds me of Giant Eagle in Pittsburgh. We have a big grocery store chain called Giant Eagle. So we don't have any Ralphs just because of the geographic area. But I'm sure Ralph's has an awards program of some sort where they scan the Ralph's card and then, there's something being collected. And I'm wondering if either of you have ever heard of making things come full circle, where you have access to what the people are actually buying, down to the minute detail of knowing exactly what they're buying. And if you have a patient who is a sensitive diabetic or is on the edge of trickling over into something really serious, and the pharmacist knew that, they know the medications that they're on, and now we have data over here on the Ralph's card to actually access the spinach that you just bought, and the carrots, the fresh carrots that you brought, and this other stuff that you bought, and then all of a sudden not so good, you bought these cookies and this other stuff that wasn't so good. And now when you come for your medication review with your pharmacist also just so happens to have the data of how you've been eating and how that's been impacting your diabetes. When, Jan, are these multi-million-dollar organizations going to make these full circles and take advantage of all of that data to really personalize wellness? Like, let's get out of saying personalizing care. Let's say wellness. Let's say taking it to a whole nother level. So have you ever heard of that? And have you ever heard of Ralph's going to kick off anything like that?
Well, they haven't shared any of that with me. When people do put in their rewards card, sometimes a coupon does pop out, and that kind of gives me a hint as to what they've been purchasing. Alternatively, people come to pick up their medication with a few items that we ring up as well. And that's kind of a good discussion point. And often, diabetic patients will have like a little roll of donuts and tell me, don't look at that, as we're scanning it up. It's one of those things where, like shaming people isn't going to work. But being able to offer like healthy alternatives to go along with maybe one of those donuts out of the 8-pack, for them to have. I constantly discuss nutrition, goals and ideas with my patients. I talk about healthy snacking just in conversation, maybe like some almonds and some strawberries, with a little Cool Whip for dessert as opposed to ice cream. It's really easy to sneak in little health tips. But as far as the data on the shopping card, oh my gosh, that would be,
but think about,
I don't know if that would be scary or good.
Think about the point system. Think about encouraging your grocery shopper and the person that that picks up their medications from Ralph's Pharmacy, and combining those two elements of data and being able to reward. Maybe it's certainly not, it shouldn't be a shaming thing. Shaming doesn't work. But if it wasn't a rewards program that now feeds back to where's all this data going, I tell you where it's going. It's going to the PBMs, right? And the PBMs will feed data to these health plan systems. Health plan systems might come out with some radical programs and says, guess what? Your premiums are going to get cut by 50% if you stay on this rewards program, that is tied to your diabetes or your specialty disease. But try it in these rare cases where we have a lot more intensity that's involved in the treatment, and then roll in, the availability of all this data. I always think of all the data that's being generated, and it's like, well, what are we doing with it? Like, we got to bring it full circle.
Yeah, that would be good.
Jen, what have you thought about the evolution of big data and AI and how this can kind of all dovetail into better pharmacological practice?
I'm sorry, Todd, I'm having trouble hearing you. Did you say Jen or Jan?
Oh, Jen, it was asking you what you've heard about with big data, using AI in order to get more into the hands of our consumers through pharmacists.
Yeah, I am not specifically aware of that either. We do have an app at the community pharmacy that I'm associated with, and it is a wellness app. And so there's lots of education there that we can direct patients to access around healthy swaps, healthy food selections. And so we do take advantage of that, along with all the other resources that are out there through ADA, AHA, those things that we can help support patients with.
So let's go back to best of the best. And just, I wanted to kind of just once again congratulate all of the winners. If you go to singlecare.com/pharmacy-awards, it'll come right up, or even go to singlecare.com and the awards program is there. But this features some of the best of pharmacists that are out there in so many variances, as well as our pharmacy technicians who are the right hands of our pharmacists. But I wanted to hear from you, Jen, about this program and how important this is and is as an annual event for the SingleCare team.
So I think that it is amazing at a time where there is some negative publicity around community pharmacy. I think that it is an amazing thing SingleCare does to really highlight this positive part of community pharmacy, how pharmacists are making an impact in the lives of their patients every day. It's a kind of a icing on the cake for many of us, because we don't show up for the award or the recognition, we show up for the people. But it is a really great feeling when you feel seen, when you feel appreciated, when you get that feedback that, hey, what you're doing is mattering. It really is a great feeling. So I can't say enough wonderful things about SingleCare and these awards, and the recognition that all community pharmacists, technicians, pharmacy teams, that they deserve. It's a really great place to work and serve people, but it is a challenging environment as we are really learning more about some of those challenges in the media currently. So I'm just really proud of Jan Marie and all the other winners that were recognized this year. Congratulations.
Yes, Jan, how did you learn that you were chosen? How did that all come up?
Yeah, so I guess I would have to go back to when I found out I was nominated. I remember just being at Ralph's, normal day, not thinking anything out of the ordinary, and a phone call came in. I believe it was Amy from SingleCare told my intern who answered the call, oh, is Jen Marie there? She's been nominated for an award. I remember him putting the call on hold, thinking it was a scam call. He's like, someone said you won an award, you've been nominated. I don't know if you want to answer this. I pick up the phone, and once I heard it was SingleCare calling, I just remember thinking, wow, this is big, and then through the process, it takes a few months of interviews and back and forth. And then when they set up a time that I would be available to Zoom, I just figured, I don't think they're going to have me go on Zoom to tell me I lost. But at the same time, the team that I've been connecting with have been so kind and professional and genuine that I wouldn't be surprised, that they would still want to recognize the person, face to face, and have that conversation. When they told me that I had won, it was just such a special moment, a mix of shock and a ton of emotions. I think I was even saying, I don't know if my body wants to laugh or cry right now. It was just like so overwhelming. And again, just being recognized is it's not something we're used to, as pharmacists, especially at the community level. Like, our patients day to day thank us, but to have, a team outside of the company I work for choose these pharmacists and go through the thousands of nominations and take the time and put a team together, to do this. It's just very, very special. Very good.
Yeah, I'm just proud of everyone that stays in and just knows that it's their job to help people, these patients, and you have a natural draw to being there for people that are looking for your expertise, and it's a great story how you starting in a different pathway for your possible future, and how you pivoted, and how you had made a reference to the growth of pharmacists and being actually it's really led by women, because 62% of all of our pharmacists are women, and it's just like, okay, then just do it, forge ahead and charge ahead, and some of the innovation, including some of the technology, is coming from our women leaders in pharmacy. There's an app that I got to spend some time with a team called Pharmasol, and Pharmasol is integrated to a PMS system, a pharmacy management system, and it reads all of the information about the medication, the patient's profile, and it will begin communicating with the patient on a cycle, not intensively, through text, and it'll send text that sound like text coming from a human, and even referencing a name that they can name the AI or whatever. And it continues to collect data based on the answers. So it'll say something like, good morning, you have 6 doses left of your antibiotic. How's everything going? From a scale from 1 to 5 or whatever. And they get to interact with that. It kind of is more of a gamification thing. And all that data is being drawn back to the pharmacy to be able to document and make decisions from. So it's that Pharmasol was put together and invented by two pharmacists that were women and leading AI. So it's just like, I'm just a guest in your industry right now. I love it. Yeah, I think that this is an interesting time. It's a stressful time. Like I started off with the show with the stress that we know that some of our chain pharmacists are going through, and I still have faith in our industry, in our profession, that we're going to write the paths of different organizations for different reasons that we could. It's a whole nother episode. It's not for this episode today. This is more of a celebration and either Halloween or the best of the best. But there's much to be done, and I think that organizations that are supporting pharmacists, as SingleCare is doing, and the kind of data that SingleCare has the access to, I think things are going to continue to improve based on pharmacists injecting their ideas into better medication management and better patient management. So we had Justin and Jena on before we had the both of you on. They were talking pediatrics. How does pediatrics, in your role at Jen at Ralph's, how do you have to kind of wear multiple hats sometimes, especially when you're talking about the little ones compared to adults? So share a little bit of your experience with that.
Yeah, definitely. We have not a huge pediatric population at my pharmacy, but there are quite a few. I love electronic prescribing because the pediatrician often lists their weight, on the prescription as it comes, and even some vitals for some of my other patients. I love that. I always cross-check doses. And if I don't know off the top of my head, I spend extra time. I mean, all prescriptions, patient safety, number one, but especially with pediatric patients. And then what's kind of fun too, at Ralph's, we have like the flavor RX, fill master. So we can add in extra flavors. And the best is when the child and the parent come in, as we're reconstituting, the medication, because it suggests the best mix one. So I can give them choices, mango, bubble gum, a lot of it is synthetic, but, meanwhile, they feel kind of like empowered, like, oh, mango sounds good. It usually smells pretty good when I mix it. So hopefully they have success, in taking it. And then along with, the antibiotics or the steroid scripts that come in often, or breathing treatments, there's always over-the-counter recommendations, we make as well. There's usually fever, going on with it, or just aches and pains. We do spend a lot of time, taking care of younger patients. I love hearing about these pediatric pharmacists, out there. And, I definitely need to connect with some of them, as kind of a second check if I am weary of something. Pharmacy is such a small world. I think we're very collaborative. I think we want to help each other, and we want to boost each other up and support them in our expertise areas. So that's definitely something, I need to make more of an effort to find my local, pediatric pharmacist. I can always pick their brain if I need to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, Jen, you and I have some follow-up because I'd like to get you back on the network talking about multiple things that you are always involved in. You're fascinating in your work, and we'll have to have you back. I'm going to be talking with the SingleCare crew possibly becoming part of our special programming and building out good content for our profession, as well as the content that's going to go from pharmacists to physicians. We have so many physicians that are commenting on our LinkedIn post and some of our episodes because they're like, boy, this is what I needed. I need to hear a discussion between two pharmacists on a specific condition. So Jen, it's so awesome having you here and being a part of this, but I wanted to thank you both for being on This Week in Pharmacy.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thanks, Todd.
Talk to you guys soon.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. I tell you what, that went fast. We're winding down This Week in Pharmacy. I'm not sure if you know, but we have some really interesting episodes coming from the network. We have a new episode on and from the FDA, and that's the Q&A with FDA and their investment into education around specific drug information. Specifically, they're kind of catered to this whole series to pharmacists and pharmacist knowledge. It's very interesting. So look that up, Q&A with FDA on the network, as well as some new episodes coming from Cardinal Health, from the sports pharmacy team, which is going to be expanding in 2024. We can't wait for you to hear that. And NASP, the National Association of Specialty Pharmacies, the NASP, we were their press partner, and we were there for the 2-day event. And there's a 3-part series at Pharmacy Podcast Network on any of the podcasting platforms. But take a listen if you are interested in specialty pharmacy. And also Road to Match. This is the second year for Road to Match series, which we're so proud to have Dr. Sally leading Resi Prep, which is all about getting people ready for residency in Match Day. But you have to look up that series with and on the network. And if there isn't content here, if there isn't things being featured that you would like to hear more about, please reach out to me. My email is publisher@pharmacypodcast.com. Once again, that's publisher@pharmacypodcast.com. And send me an ideas. That's how this network has grown, is because of you, the listeners, turning into content suggestions or even content build out where you become a part of the content development and even a host. That's how we find new hosts, is they're always listeners first. And we appreciate our listeners. We thank you for your work in pharmacy. Please reach out to us if you have any questions about any of the content that you've heard about or the people that you've met through the Pharmacy Podcast Network. That is the important thing here, is the network that we are building together. #TogetherRx. That's it. Me, I'm Trucker 10-4. I'm over and out.